video, I would like to discuss what it means to be an intellectual. Um, Defining that term and what it means to me is someone who uses facts, evidence, logic, reasoning, and the scientific method to try to make good decisions and better judgments. There are many people out there who call themselves intellectuals who hold on to what I will use the term ideology. When someone has an ideology such as Islam, Marxism, neoliberal capitalism, when they are looking at the world, the environment around them, they have preconceived notions and many assumptions. Philosophically, we all need assumptions, but what really categorizes someone with an ideology is when there's counterfactual evidence that does not support their ideology. An example would be capitalism empirically has raised more people out of poverty than communism or hard socialism was able to do. So if you're a communist and you see many good things happening in capitalism, you'll tend to ignore those. If you're a neoliberal capitalist and there are socialist, communist type policies that seem to be benefiting mankind, you would ignore those because it doesn't fit into your ideology. If you have a dogmatic religious view, the three major monotheistic religions, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, all have angels, which play very important roles in transmitting God's messages. If you don't believe in angels as an empirical being, like maybe you don't believe in unicorns or elves, then you are applying a dogma that you believe in angels, and to me that is not an intellectual viewpoint, and you're an ideologue. You may call yourself an intellectual, but if you believe in things that cannot be empirically verified, then you are carrying an ideology. All of us have biases, all of us make assumptions, but an intellectual says, a good one is that I know I have biases, I am making assumptions, but if you show me new evidence, if you show me better logic and reasoning for evidence that's out there, then I will change my opinion and try to incorporate that into my worldview. Another example today is the electric universe model versus the standard model, which incorporates general relativity. Looking at both of them as someone who I would not call an expert, the arguments and evidence presented by the electric universe presenters seems to be more reasonable and supported more by the evidence than the standard model experts. The global warming or not global warming, when I see open-mindedly both presentations, the evidence leads toward only modest global warming, and probably the next phase will be global cooling. As someone who has no financial gain, that's neutral and with an open mind, looking at both. But I will change my opinion on those matters if someone can give me better evidence and better arguments. As in someone who makes a goal of having an intellectual worldview, when I see violence, murder, and mayhem, whether it's a nation state using a multi-million-dollar aircraft to use a piece of ordnance, maybe a 1,000-pound bomb, to hit a hospital, school, apartment building without warning from a high altitude, so that people can't see or hear it before the bomb strikes, or a suicide bomber with a bomb vest or snipers, and some are called terrorists, where we generally don't call a fighter bomber pilot a terrorist, whether they are for any side. For some reason, if you have a suicide vest on and you kill fewer people, you're a terrorist. If you are called a major or a captain and you fly an aircraft, for some reason that's morally not as bad. An intellectual would see political violence either way as just political violence. So I've always tried to hold an open mind. I've read Karl Marx, I've read Adam Smith, I've read all the major religious texts. I've read the Torah, the New Testament, the Quran, and tried to look at them as literature objectively. I try to look and listen to both political parties and independents. If I have time to fact check what they're saying, seeing if they keep the promises that they made when they were campaigning. An example would be President Wilson was elected not to get us into the First World War, and then turn around and schemed and collaborated to get us into the war, which continued the violence. Maybe there would have been some type of armistice and a compromise if the sides were deadlocked without the United States bringing its massive resources into the war. We'll never know. So I try to be an intellectual. I do not claim any political party or any ideology or any dogma. I don't take the writings of any of the religions as necessarily being literally true, but if you want to look at them from a positive standpoint, they're trying to pass wisdom and practical knowledge through narratives and storytelling, and I think that's how our minds have developed as our hunter-gatherer ancestors that we evolved from would sit around the campfire and communicate, and that's how we hold and grasp things in our mind, is with stories. For younger folks in high school or junior high, if I'm ever fortunate enough to get many viewers, I hope that they can apply critical thinking, look at evidence, and not see science with the capital S, a dogmatic science where you're not allowed to question things like global warming and black holes or the Big Bang. That new hypotheses could be created that are better explanations, and then maybe years down the road an even better hypothesis is created, and it does a much better job. So that's where I am. I will vote for someone of any party if they have the best evidence and arguments and they consistently follow through on what they say. So that's all I have. Be kind and think for yourself, and have a wonderful day.